So Gemini CLI has now got something called as subagents. And subagents are not a completely new concept. We have been talking about multi-agent systems for a while. But what is interesting is the ability to create them directly in the Gemini CLI. And that's new. But what does it actually solve and why does it matter? Every AI agent today, whether it is Claude Code, Cursor, Gemini CLI, doesn't really matter. They all work the same way. One agent, one context window. And you start a session, it's great. You ask it to research something, you get a fast and accurate response. You ask it to analyze a document, no problem. And then you ask it to do a third thing, a fourth thing, a fifth thing. And every web search it runs, every file it reads, every page it fetches, all of that stays in the context window. So by the time you are 20 minutes into a session, the context is packed with intermediate work that you don't even need anymore. The agent starts to slow down and the quality of the responses drops. And you're paying for all the tokens sitting in the memory, which is actually doing not much. And that's what people call as context rot. And it is the number one practical problem with AI agents today. Now, the way people work around this right now is they just start a new session, clear the context, start fresh. But then you lose all the continuity. You have to now re explain what you're working on, and that is just not super efficient. So, what subagents do is solve this architecturally. Instead of one agent doing everything in one context window, your main agent becomes like an orchestrator or a manager, and it hires specialists, a researcher, a reviewer, an analyst, whatever you need. And each specialist gets its own context window, its own set of tools, its own instructions. It goes off, it does the work, maybe 15 web searches, reading a bunch of pages, analyzing a bunch of files, and then it comes back to the manager with a clean summary. All of that intermediate work is gone. And it's not in your context. Your main session stays fast and lean. And there are three things about the Gemini CLI implementation that I think make it really interesting. First is automatic delegation. You don't have to manually tell it which specialist to use. The main agent reads a description of all of your specialists and automatically figures out who to call. Second is the tool isolation. Each specialist can only access a tool it has got. So a researcher can search the web but cannot write the file. A reviewer can read code but cannot execute commands. You control exactly what each agent is allowed to do. And third is parallel execution. You can actually run multiple specialists at the same time, 2 agents, 3 agents, each in their own context, working simultaneously. So you're not just giving and solving context rot, you're actually building a team that works faster than a single agent ever could. And I'm going to show you everything today, what comes out of the box, how to enable some hidden agents in the Gemini CLI, and also, most importantly, how to create your own custom specialist. Before we get into this, a quick disclaimer: all opinions are my own and do not belong to my employer. All right? With that, let's get into it. All right, so in order to show this, I'm in the terminal with an anti-gravity. I just like the tool so much, but you can obviously use it in any terminal. You can also use it in Google Cloud Console or PowerShell if you're using Windows. So in order to get to Gemini CLI, you just need to type Gemini, and then it will open up the CLI for you. So you need to have the latest version of the CLI. So here you can see that I am on 38.2 in order to have the subagents already available. And the way you can check it is you should be able to see when you type agent/agents, you should be able to see this. So once I click on this, you will already see the default agents that are already being made available, right? So the first one is the code-based investigator agent. This one is actually designed for deep code analysis. So if you have a large code base and you want to understand how the authentication system works or map out dependencies or do a root cause kind of analysis, this one is the relevant agent for you. And all of that file reading happens in its own context window, so your main session doesn't get cluttered. The second one is the CLI help agent. This is really cool because this one is an expert in Gemini CLI itself. So if you have questions around some of the functionalities of Gemini CLI, and I will show you this in the demo as well, like this will be very interesting. The third one is generalist agent. As the name suggests, it's a full copy of the main agent, but runs in its own kind of isolated context window. So for any task that, is going to be heavy, lots of web searches, etc., you should be able to use the generalist agent versus using your main session. So that way the main session stays lean, right? So now let me show you some of the things in action. For example, here, if I'm going to give a command like this, so in order to invoke an agent, you just need to type @ and the name of the agent. And then here I'm saying research the top 3 AI marketing automation platforms and summarize their positioning, right? So you will see that in this one, it is already starting the agent and then it is delegating it. And now the generalist agent is actually doing the Google search and all of those things for us, right? Here you will see it is going to go ahead and provide the responses. But again, if you as a CLI agent, it would be doing something different, right? If you as the code-based agent, it will be doing something different. So in this case, I specifically invoked the generalist agent and you are seeing that in action. Okay. So we'll give it a few seconds for it to complete. It has completed its job. So here you go. It has done the research and it has provided the 3 different answers, right? Let's invoke another agent, which is the CLI agent. Because I want to create a sub agent for you guys, I actually am going to ask the CLI help on how to create a sub agent. So because it is an expert in the Gemini CLI itself, it is going to provide exactly that kind of response. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay. So we'll give it a few seconds for it to come back and provide. And again, very quick, it is providing a detailed summary here to create an agent. First, these are .md files, as we understand. They use YAML formatter, etc. And this is an example that they have also provided. And these are some of the key configuration options, etc., and how to invoke, etc. as well. What I'm going to do here is I'm not gonna write all of these or type all of these. I'm actually going to be using the CLI to create the agent, sub-agent itself. But before we get there, I want to actually show you something more interesting. So if you look at this here, there are 3 local agents that it is showing. Actually, there is another agent called the browser agent that also comes by default, but it's not there, right? So what we can do is we can actually ask Gemini CLI to edit the settings.json so that we can enable the browser agent. So now it's going to look into the settings.json and it is going to enable the browser agent on our behalf. You could also go ahead and find where the settings.json is, but in this case, I'm just going to use Gemini CLI to do that for us. Allowed it, it has found it, and it is going to be able to update that. Here, this is the content of settings.json. And you can see here, it is actually using the CLI underscore help automatically. So we didn't ask it to do that, but it is automatically doing that, right? So it is understanding the syntax to enable the browser agent, and then it will go ahead and enable it for us. But you can already see live how sub agents are working without we delegating, as I had mentioned at the beginning of this video. Okay. So it is going to be automatically updating the settings.json, and we're just going to go along and let it do its thing. And it is also going to verify and should be almost done. And here you go. So it has done its job. One thing which we also need to do is to enable some of the domains so that it allows it. I'm going to ask it to enable settings.json to add, let's say, hubspot.com and some other domains if you need to. So always keep in mind, like if you want to actually see the browser agent in action, by default, it only works for allowed domains. You'll have to enable this as well. Okay. So we'll again let it run for a few seconds and then we'll come back right into it. All right. Looks like it has enabled, and these are all the domains that it has enabled. And then it also lets us know that we need to restart the Gemini CLI. So in order to restart, just type quit. So you're out of this, and then you can come back to this by just typing Gemini and you are back. So now what we will do is let's look at agents again. And you should see now there is a new agent, which is the browser agent already here. And what we are going to do is we are actually going to show you browser agent in action. So here, go to hubspot.com and just tell me the headline on their homepage. So you can see that Gemini CLI is able to use the browser agent to control this. And you should be able to see that it is going to browse and understand whatever is the headline, and it should be able to come back and provide us that answer. So it's doing that, should be able to do the job. There you go. So the headline is where go-to-market teams go to grow, which is exactly what we are seeing here, right? The last word dynamically cycles through terms like grow, scale, close, and retain, which is pretty cool as well because it stayed there for a few seconds in order to understand. So that's the browser agent. So now you know that it also comes out of the box and you should be able to use the browser agent as well. Okay. Now, what we will do is we will actually go ahead and create our own subagent. So now what I want it to do is I want it to create a subagent file, which is called Competitor Analyst that specializes in competitive intelligence. And it was able to create this very quickly. The agent should focus on analyzing competitor positioning, messaging, pricing, and target audience. So this is the file that it is about to write. This is the expertise, constraints, tools, and instructions. So I'm going to allow it for this particular session. And as soon as we do this, it should be able to write this, right? So now the agent is available for any one of this. Let's do this again. Let's quit and come back. And now what you should see is hopefully the new agent should be listed. Okay, so it says that there is a problem the with the agent. So maybe what we can do is we can ask it to fix the file. So I'm just going to ask Gemini CLI to fix this. And this is great because you're able to see this live, right? Hopefully it should be able to fix that now. But then this is a cool way to actually create subagents. And now when I load it, you should be able to see the new agent being loaded as well, right? So the moment we do that, it says that, okay, new agents discovered. What do you want to do with it? So I want to acknowledge and enable. And now when I click on agents, you will see that the competitor analyst agent is right here. Now, let's say that let me ask this particular question, analyze how Jasper AI is positioning their enterprise marketing features right now. So now it is going to use the competitor analyst agent in order to get us the answer, right? And that's the thing that I wanted to show. There's a lot of out of the box agents available. Then you are able to create like a multi agent system. And this was just one. You can create multiple agents as well and keep it as part of your CLI so that depending on your question, it will be able to do exactly that specific research based on the instructions of that particular agent. All right, looks like we are closer to the result and it has completed the competition analysis and we should be able to see the results pretty quickly. All right, looks like it has done its job. Agent completed, competitor analyst completed successfully, and you have got this particular response, which is it is positioning itself as governed AI workspace. And you can see all the different key features, the way we had actually asked it. So that's what I wanted to show you guys today. So what you just saw end to end was what are subagents in Gemini CLI? What are the out of the box agents available as part of CLI? And then how can you enable some of the hidden agents, which we saw browser agent as an example, and then how you can go ahead and create sub agents of your own, right? So that is something which you saw today. So let me know in the comment section if you guys have any questions around this. And I'm hoping that you found this valuable. And if you did, please hit that like button. And if you're new here, please do hit that subscribe button as well so that you can receive these kind of video notifications in the future. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.